tough one for you to say no to. This, isn't it? It's going to make you look a bit of a prick. No idea is a bad idea. Let's just brainstorm.
Apart from the thing that Baz said before about
that was one bad idea.
That was a bad idea.
No other ideas are bad ideas.
No ideas are bad ideas, apart from the idea Baz just came up with.
Yes,
fair enough.
I think I'm a good podcast guest. I work hard. I think if you're going to do it, put the effort in, do your research, get ready, go. And I think that is why I either become a presenter on a podcast or kill it.
So it's come to the point of the podcast, much later on than it normally comes in a podcast, obviously because we've had much more to talk to you about than our normal guests, like Laurie, your brother and that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like we didn't really have much to talk to him about. He was dry as anything until we got to his mildly controversial opinions. So, let's hear your mildly controversial opinions. What's your first opinion that you've got that will be is mildly controversial?
Pubs should have to give. You know how when there's building work being done, they put signs up, like saying planning permission's been applied for this or something like that. Pubs should have to give 14 days notice in writing of a pub quiz. Because I like a pub quiz. Right?
So do I.
I enjoy a pub quiz when I'm planning to go and do a pub quiz. What I don't like is if you go to a pub and a pub quiz just happens while you're there. That's dreadful. Like because if you're not doing the pub quiz, you've bought a pint, and then they go, quite ready, round one, and you've just got, you're going to sit there in silence, you're going to have a chat, but now, if you talk, you're going to ruin the pub quiz for everyone else. You've just got to sit there and go, oh God, this is dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. I left a pub not too long ago, my friend Dan Trelfer. We walked into a pub, and we left not because there's a pub quiz, but because we felt it had the vibe that a pub quiz was going to break out. There were lots of people. It was very busy for a Monday night. There were lots of people on tables together. Quite full things there. There was always a stage in this pub. There's a stage with a mic, just a microphone and a chair set up. And I thought, this reeks of pub quiz. He goes, I know what you mean. Let's go. Not risky.
I love that the image that it's like. It's getting a bit leery in here. I've got the feeling a pub quiz could break out.
It had that vibe. You know what I mean? You know pubs. You know the vibe.
Come on, lads. We've all had a bit to drink. We can all be friends. There's no need to compete against each other on general knowledge. Come on, lads. Calm down.
Yeah, and obviously, if you're not a participant, you're in the background. Your heavy whispering to each other gets shushed quite heavily, doesn't it?
Yeah. This is the thing. So. It's like I'm also a side thing of that. I don't think pubs you should be allowed to reserve tables in a pub. That's just another random pub thing. I don't think it's. I think if you get there at 12 and you want to drink for 12 hours, if you get there at noon and want to drink till it closes, you should be able to do that. The worst thing is if you get a table, you think I'm going to have a nice session in this pub. You're there for hours with your friends, and then they come over and put a thing in. This is reserved for 6. You go, no, I've been sat here. You can't add that.
Yes.
That's squatters' rights.
Yeah. I don't mind if a pub has a restaurant area where they want to reserve tables. That's fine. But with just people phoning up because they want to come down with 5 mates on Saturday, not having it.
Yeah, you were saying before about the that thing where you're in the pub and you've got to be quiet. Just reminded me of very quickly this. I used to work for a massive multinational company in the marketing department, and we got taken out in London for a Christmas do by the advertising agency. They wanted to show off, so they took us to Ronnie Scott's, right?
Jazz.
I'm not, which is a massive like jazz bar and all that kind of stuff. I'm not into jazz. I'm a northerner, not really into poncy stuff. So they all sat down and said, right, while the act's on, if you can not talk, that'd be great. I was like, okay. So I'm sat having a drink, and then this woman comes up, starts singing her jazz stuff, and I just lean over to my mate and whisper in his ear. It completely inaudible to anybody other than him. The woman stops singing and says, I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure you were asked not to talk while the performance on. I was like, well, I was only talking to him and I was with her. And she said, no. I was like, if I'm going to be up here singing, you're going to have the courtesy to sit and listen to me sing. And I was just like, okay, I'm not. I'm going to the pub next door. Okay, bye. Yeah. So I just fucked off. I was like, no way am I just going to be sat in absolute silence in awe of this person singing music I don't like.
Yeah.
And just like, no, I'm not having that. So anyway, that was just an aside. But along this, that's basically me saying that I feel your pain in terms of having to sit in a pub in silence is just absolute nonsense. And so this is the point where Baz and I decide whether the Mildly Controversial podcast endorse that.
Well, I'm ready for your judgment.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. That it was that pubs should have to give written notice for 14 days that there would be a pub quiz.
Clearly signposted outside, so you cannot have it sprung upon you.
I'm just going to be really bland here and say it's Robbie Knox. So yeah, correct.
You can't just say yes to everyone because it's Robbie.
I can. I know will.
But no, I'm absolutely, again, just that was the reason that I said the Ronnie Scott story, just because I just think like there's nothing worse than being forced to be in silence in a pub.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no point going to a pub if you have to be silent. So 100% approved.
I was going to say, as a caveat, I'm a bit thick in quizzes, so I quite like it if someone's whispering the answers to their friend, because I'll pick up on that.
Excellent.
I will have to confirm that Baz is pretty shit at quizzes, because I did TikTok quizzes every Friday night for a long time, and Baz was my regular stand-in.
Super stand-in.
If someone pulled out at the last minute, and I battered him every time. So I just wanted to kind of continue that hurt for Baz, even years beyond us stopping those TikTok quizzes. So I wanted to carry that on.
Wonderful.
Okay, what have you got next, Robbie?
We don't need the letter K, and it's the first letter of my surname, and I just don't think we need it.
You definitely don't need it in your surname.
Well, yeah, I don't. But when do you ever need it? When can it not be substituted with a C or just left out? Like,
oh yeah,
crack. You don't need the K. Do you know what I mean? You still pronounce it the same way. I don't really think there's any need for it. I think we could trim down. Like 25 letters is a much neater number than 26 in the alphabet. I don't think we need it.
Look, I mean, I might take it even further. There are other ones you don't need. Is that in Welsh there's no letter X. It's just a CS. It's the same thing.
Oh, that increases the number of letters on the alphabet, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's more.
No, you're taking X out, Baz.
No,
Baz,
that's fine.
I'm sorry to interrupt here, Robbie. I'm going to have to explain to Baz that the letters C and S actually exist at the moment, and if you do take the X out of the alphabet, you can use two that exist at the moment. That's what I'm saying.
I've got it now.
Because the example is taxi. Taxi in Welsh and in Irish is TACSI.
But that's why Wales has. You're adding letters into the word there. Like, I'm trying to make words shorter. I'm trying to make it all neater. That's why Welsh place names go on for like 10 foot on signs and stuff, because they haven't got enough letters. So they've gone too far. But the letter K, like Mike, if you were talking about the microphone in front of you, would be MIC, and that works perfectly well.
But my name, if you substitute the K with the C in my name, I become Mice.
You do, but on that case, we can trim it down even more. We can get rid of the E, and that's
there you go. That is Mike.
Mick.
I'm confused now.
Yeah, so mice works for you as well. Then.
Although having said that,
imagine how cool you'd be if you were called Mice.
Mice on the mic.
Mice. Brilliant.
Well, I have to say, with the graphics on your tour, wank with a C doesn't look as dramatic as wank with a K, does it?
It's very good.
Only because we're conditioned to the word wank with a K. Exactly. Wank was spelled with a C. But if it was written wank like that, you'd still understand it.
Yeah. There's no confusion that that's once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
I do, however, love that you've brought a bit of your brother's ethos into the podcast.
What, talk about words and stuff?
Yeah, I love
exactly.
it.
Yeah, but he knows stuff. He's got facts and stuff. I'm just saying, let's just chop this down. We don't need so many letters.
I can't help thinking, Robbie, that the reason you think the K is unnecessary is because the K in your name is unnecessary.
Yeah, but
because it's silent for a start.
It's silent, so K can quite often can be silent, or it can be easily swapped out for a C. No one's given me an example of a word yet where it couldn't be dealt with without the letter K.
I just did.
I'm saying, but then we lose the E and it's fine. It still can be done. You can just.
I like the fact as well that Mike's. You want to shorten your name by getting rid of the K, and Mike's now added the CS to make it 4 letters again. So.
I think we've the longer we've talked about this, we've watered down the impact of you wanting to get rid of the K out of the alphabet. So, right, Baz, what are you saying? Are we getting rid of the K out of the alphabet?
It's Robbie Knox, so yes.
Okay. It's I've got to say no because I don't want to be called mice. And I've got the casting. There's only this is the flaw in this system. There's only me and Baz, you see. So. And the flaw in that system is that it's 1-1, but I'm the Simon Cowell of this operation, so I get the casting vote.
You've got the golden buzzer.
So
I'm disappointed, but I've got to respect the system.
You've got to take that one back home with you, mate. I'm sorry about that.
Fine.
What's next?
This one is personal to me, and that is that men should wear skirts. On the tour, every night I wore a skirt, and it's lovely. It's freeing. It's brilliant. It feels nice. There's a nice air that comes up to you if you're outside. I cannot recommend enough that men wear skirts.
Baz, clearly we need to go to you first on this one.
So I'm a kilt wearer.
Nice.
As part of my kind of like being on social media. With Americans, I've worn kilts in various videos I've made, and I quite often get accused of wearing a girl's skirt by Americans because they don't understand that it's a kilt. Obviously, I think seeing you on tour, and I think there's a certain confidence you have to wear a kilt. I wouldn't per se wear one if I was going out in like town because I'm a bit worried about getting groped because I think there's a thing that happens when you wear a kilt in public that certain drunk women want to kind of get their revenge on you for their so I've worn one in Magaluf and I've worn one in Marbella and I've been groped on both occasions. Not that it's horrendous but it's it does happen.
I know you mean. My family from Scotland, I've got a kilt I've worn since I was 21, and I don't rewear it in England. I don't wear it in general, but I'd wear it to football matches there. But I wouldn't wear it around in England because you get sexually assaulted, and it's not really acceptable. It's if men did that to women, which I know some people do, it would be. People will be disgusted. Yep. They'll just go, oh, "What's up there?
Yes.
What are you doing?" Yeah, it's mad. But I would go. I don't want to hide behind the kilt side of things. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying I want skirts. I don't want to get people go, "Oh, that's a kilt." No, it's a skirt. I'm happily with it. When I bought this, it's a men's skirt, although it is kilty in the way it does up. But I think it's freeing. I think gendered clothing isn't necessary.
So that's quite interesting. That you said you bought that as it was labelled a men's skirt.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because it's kind of that's including a gender, but kind of undoing a gender at the same time.
Yeah, I bought it because it was adjustable and. It was, as my first skirt, it was easier than going into Topshop and asking to try on a skirt from the girls' section. Because I don't know what size I am in girls' skirts. Like, I know I could order things and send them back. I just don't know. So I thought, okay, I'll go for something like this. That it's modelled on a man's. I've got an idea of how it's going to look on a man sort of thing. So that's how I went for it. But I certainly would in future buy skirts from probably online from women's stores.
So was the skirt? I nearly said squirt then. That's a very different thing. It's like we're not talking about that, by the way. So the skirt, was that bought specifically with the tour in mind?
No, it was pre-day of the tour. I'd said on the podcast on Happy Hour how much I wanted to wear a skirt, and every now and then I've had this feeling for ages. I like wearing my kilt. I've thought this for ages, and every now and then something happens, like David Beckham wear a sarong, and you think maybe it's now, and it doesn't happen. And then recently I was thinking, do you know what? It's been building up a bit of momentum, like Harry Styles wearing a skirt, and a couple of other people, I can't remember who else, sort of thing. And I was saying on there, like, I just want it to become socially acceptable. And as I was saying, why don't you just do it? I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I will. So one day I just turned up at the studio in my skirt. And first of all, like, I had to get the train I wasn't going down in the car, so I got the train down in and all that. And you are a little bit self-conscious. But now I just go out in it and no one says anything. No one cares. And I tell you what was lovely as well. During the interval of our show in Ipswich, I went across. Me and Stevie ran out the venue at half time with Luke, the tour manager. We went and had a pint during the interval because we had a pub across the road. So we had a pint during the show, and Jack's sister stood outside the pub at the time having a drink, and she looked through the window. She'd seen us go in there, and she looked through the window, and she filmed on her phone. There was a guy sat at a stool looking at me. He was Googling men's skirts and looking through different ones like that. So I was thinking, it's working. It's working. And I bet people
you were literally spreading the word of men's skirt wearing.
I've had people come up to me and said they started wearing skirts because of me on Happy Hour. So, yeah, bring it on.
It's a similar but not quite the same experience during lockdown where I started wearing nail varnish.
Yeah.
And I had certain like men saying, "Why are you wearing nail varnish?" And I literally said that I didn't realise it was sort of fixed to a gender because like we both male and females both have nails, so why is it a female thing? The skirt is definitely the same thing because why is it fixed to a gender? It's just an item of clothing, isn't it?
Exactly, and nail varnish. I think young men do wear nail varnish a lot more now. Well, my son will put on nail varnish or something. If he's can't wear school or anything, he quite likes it. Fair enough. But yeah, I think all these things, there's no reason. And I find it funny when you do talk to people who are threatened by this. Like, well, what's the big deal?
Well, the first time I wore a kilt in a video, someone came on and accused me of cultural appropriation. So I literally said, well, let's just call it a skirt then. So, and we're all good. And that was the last I heard from him.
Yeah. Exactly.
But does that then become gender appropriation?
Oh, God, yeah, probably. But let's call our trousers back, shall we?
Exactly. The women stole trousers off us centuries ago. It's time for us to steal skirts. I nearly said it's time for us to steal skirts off women. I need to be very clear what I meant by that in context.
It's Mike sticking his hand up Baz's kilt, isn't it? That's what's going on.
We need to make sure. I mean, upskirting was made illegal a couple of years ago. We need to make sure that upkilting is also. Yeah,
I don't know whether I don't know what the law is regarding men, whether it's included in that. I hope it is, but who knows?
But I think you're right, Baz. Is that thankfully, men walking up and putting their hands up women's skirts, which might have been I'm not going to say accepted, but tolerated in like the 80s or whatever, is thankfully now seen for being abhorrent and is getting rightly seen as what it is. It's a sexual assault. But like you say, a man walking out, because I've seen guys. I've been out in Scotland, seen guys wearing a kilt, and women, invariably pissed women, will put their hand up a kilt. So, Baz, I think you need to front a campaign of rights for men to wear kilts or skirts, safe in the knowledge that they will not be interfered with.
Only if I could do it with Robbie, that'd be great.
Wonderful.
There you go. I'm pretty sure it started here. So Baz, I don't need to come to you and ask if you think that skirts should be like.
Tough one for you to say no to this, isn't it? It's going to make you look a bit of a prick.
Baz is like, please don't take that. That's the kind of thing I've got. Do you know what I mean? It's like people think I'm cool because I wear kilts. Nobody else should be allowed to wear them.
Baz is cool.
Yeah,
no
of course. We were. We don't need to go to Baz for his vote on that. And do you know what? At first, I was a bit unsure, but look, you've sold me on it. I thought that the skirt for you was a not quite a gimmick, but I thought it was a tour thing But now you've made it clear to me that this is a thing that you. So do you just wear it often?
To be fair, I will wear it occasionally, but I only have one, so I would take it off after the shows generally. And the reason I wore it every night on the show is because we have a video at the interval. I don't know if you saw when you were at the bar. That is a fake dressing room camera that we've pre-recorded. So I had to be wearing the same. You can see my legs in it because I have a dressing gown on.
Yeah.
So I had to be wearing the skirt every time anyway, and it made sense for the show to have it. But yeah, I would wear it out. Yeah, definitely, and I would wear it out if he didn't have a show the next day. And I had a chance to wash it because I was worried that someone would spill something on it and I'd be screwed. I'd wear it out. So I wore it out in Oxford. I wore it out in various places around on the tour. If I didn't have a show the next day, I'd just wear it.
Well, having seen you in person, I think you carry it off extremely well. I'm not even going to lie.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
I think so. So, look, my vote is that absolutely. I think it is and I don't think it needs to be one of those things where like all clothes become like gender neutral and things like that. I just think we can be specific on this and just say, I mean, that is a thing, but also that I think we can be specific and say that skirts, it should be okay for a man to wear a skirt. I think was that you said? I mean, it was something like that, wasn't it? I don't want to misquote you.
I said men should wear skirts. Obviously, men should wear whatever they want, but men should feel comfortable that they can wear a skirt if they wish.
I think that's a better way of saying it rather than the first way you said it sounded like men should be forced to wear skirts.
Yeah, so I can check them out
only if they want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go again. So we got some more then.
This one's going to be less of a slam dunk, I think. Offside in football should be a straight red card.
Whoa.
Because I'll be totally honest, I don't know a lot about some of the rules in football these days. I always used to, but I think it's become unnecessarily complicated. I genuinely do not understand if something is offside or not. And I've never felt that in my life until now. I don't know if it's a handball or a penalty anymore. I don't get... I know people say silhouette and they explain this to me. I cannot tell you, though, how it works. And I don't know why it's got to this stage. And like I was watching in the World Cup and I think it was with my wife and she said, is that a penalty? And I said, don't know. Genuinely don't know. Whereas before I would have gone, I think so. I
don't understand the rules of the sport I love anymore.
I just don't know. I've worked on a football TV show for 7 years and I have not got a clue what the offside rule is anymore. Sort of thing. And there are people who go, no, I've had it explained to me. I've worked on it. I still could not tell you. And I think most people can't because VAR and football pundits whose job it is to watch this often have conflicting opinions on this and they've all watching the same footage. So it's not clear now. So I think, well, we might as well just make the game a bit fun. If we're putting mental rules in, let's just say, if you're offside, straight red, off you go, free match ban. Brilliant, wouldn't it?
It'd be fun. There'd be certain players that would they'd be on 3 match bans every game.
Well, you're never going to have. It's going to get rid of all that worry about VAR and all that stuff because people are going to stay well onside. You know what I mean? You're going to have 3 meters on the defenders, sort of thing. It's good.
You're going to have 2 teams of players staying in their own half, so they can't ever be offside. That's going to happen.
So I mean, controversial. I'm not expecting it to get in, but I thought I'd make sense.
Well, yeah, we'll have a conversation. But I think the red card thing. We'll come to that. I think that's that's some punishment for it. But I just think I do think the offside rule just needs to be more straightforward. And it's just if anybody is in an offside position when the ball goes forward there, even if they're on the other side of this whole interfering with play and it's a different phase, and it's like, no, if somebody's in an offside position, then it doesn't matter. You're offside. Doesn't matter if you're on the other side of the pitch. Doesn't matter if the ball's come back and all the confusion around it and stuff. It's just, no, I don't get that.
I don't mind if someone's walking back and they're clearly not doing anything. But if someone's running forward, then fair enough. I quite liked it when there was daylight, was the rule, wasn't it? If you could see daylight between someone. That was simple to understand. It worked. I don't know why they're changing it all the time for the sake of it.
I think it's got to the stage now where with VAR that someone's hair is offside, and that just makes it ridiculous. Because surely that's not sort of changing the sort of advantage that they have over the defenders.
And when they brought it in, I hate VAR more than anything. It's really, I watch very little football now, largely because of it. Very little Premier League football. And when they brought it in, they said it's going to be used to fix clear and obvious errors. These aren't clear and obvious errors. These are measuring out someone's fucking elbow or something like that. It's so far away from what it's supposed to be. And it's the only sport that's messed it up. It works in cricket, having replays. It works in tennis. It works in rugby. It's that they haven't done it. Yeah, I'd like one of those approaches where you get a couple of challenges. If you can challenge something, you're on the bench, and if you each half you might get one or two challenges, and if you use it and you're correct, you get to keep it. But if not, you lose your challenge. I think that'd be fine. At the minute, it's just players can't celebrate properly because they have to sit there and wait to find out whether or not something's happened, and then so like you then lose a bit of that urgency, you lose that excitement. I hate it. That's far. Mine's more about offside.
So VAR's an easier. That's more of a shoe-in, but the whole thing of a red card for offside, it'd certainly make football more jeopardy. In football, it'd make it more exciting. But I think, like you say, from a VAR point of view, because what is offside and what isn't offside is so convoluted now. I think the red card seems a bit. I'll tell you one thing. While we're on football, we don't often talk about football, but one thing that really irritates me about football is the a referee playing advantage, right? Oh. Because if there's a foul or something like that, a referee will say, "You've got the ball. That's advantage." It's like, no. Advantage for me is not having the ball in my own half. The advantage for me is having nobody within 10 yards of me and me being able to lump the ball with nobody in front of me into the box where I can cause a threat. Not, I've got my back to goal and I'm taking the ball back towards the goalkeeper. And they just say, yep, play on, you've got the ball, play advantage. That's not an advantage, that's a disadvantage, me going that way.
But it can be an advantage to not have the defenders back in their position and them lined up in their 2 box of 4 sort of thing, midfield defence or something like that, I guess. So you've got that sort of breakaway opportunity.
Yeah, no, the breakaway, 100%. Yeah. Like, advantage should be a thing, but referees just immediately saying, you've got the ball, that's advantage to you.
Yeah.
It's just like, you see it all the time, and it's just like, this isn't an advantage. You know, like, I'm literally taking the ball back towards my goalkeeper with somebody right behind me, and I've got somebody literally right behind me challenging for the ball. That's not an advantage. An advantage for me is I'm not, like, nobody's allowed within 10 yards of me.
Maybe you should be allowed to pick. The player can, like, if the referee shouts, like, advantage, you go, no! And stop or something, and get the free kick.
No, it should be like in rugby. Like, when you catch the ball in rugby, you can either play on with it or you can. Can you not just kind of? Yeah, you can say, "Oh, that's a mark," or so. There should be. Like, Robbie, I think we're rewriting. Do you know what? I wasn't sure about the red card thing, but because you've agreed with me on that one,
we'll lump them all in together. We'll put all these. We'll just say the rules need a big rewrite.
Exactly, and the three of us are going to rewrite them all. So it's passed. It's gone through. Like it's accepted.
Also, so while we are rewriting the rules, can we get rid of the fact that there has to be a minimum number of players for the game to be like abandoned? If you're handing out red cards for offside, Can we get it down so it doesn't matter anymore? We just keep going until there's literally 2 goalkeepers left.
Well, it might not be the goalkeepers.
Well,
not that a goalkeeper can be is often offside. I don't remember a goalkeeper being offside, but no, I think you're right. I think if it's 2-on-2 on a 110 metre by 60 metre wide pitch or whatever it is, imagine how knackered they're going to be.
One would be even better, though, wouldn't it?
And while we're at it, let's get rid of goalkeepers on the bench, because it used to be so good in the 80s and early 90s when you'd get a goalkeeper sent off and you had to have some outfield player just try and play in goal. It was brilliant. I miss that.
But some of them have been brilliant. I remember Rio Ferdinand was really good, and I think John O'Shea did it once, and it's like that's what you need, isn't it?
And
yeah,
also,
okay, that one as well. Like, brilliant.
And also, while we're on the subject, can we have, like, when it goes to extra time, you just keep playing until somebody scores. Let's not have any time. Just keep playing until somebody scores.
No. I'm against that. I didn't like, because they had golden goal for a bit, didn't they? I didn't like that. Because
that sent everyone so defensive.
It was, and I remember in the World Cup when Italy conceded, they've been playing so defensively all tournament, and I was thinking, yeah, I know they're now out, but I want to see what they're like as a team when they have to attack. I want to see how they react to this, not just sort of end. I didn't like that, and I do like penalties. I know everyone goes, "Oh, no one wants this." I want it. I love it.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love penalties. I don't like being. Penalties are only good if you care who wins. Penalties are only good if your team wins. Obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
But dull games you couldn't give a shit who wins. All of a sudden turn into brilliant games when it goes to penalties.
Yeah.
Everybody, I would watch a penalty shootout with Empoli under 21s or something in Italy or something. Penalty shootouts are brilliant.
Yeah, they're great. So, sorry, Baz, no.
It kind of makes you wonder, we should have a league where there's no football, it's just penalties.
Yeah. I'm up for that. I'm up for let's no idea is a bad idea. Let's just brainstorm.
Apart from the thing that Baz said before about that was
one bad idea. Yeah.
that was a bad idea.
No other ideas are bad ideas.
No ideas are bad ideas apart from the idea Baz just came up with.
Yes.
Fair enough? Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, my final one. Did that get accepted, that one? Yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it did once we lumped in all the other rules of football we wanted to change, yes.
Wonderful one. My final one is, and I'm not particularly patriotic, I think Britain, in many ways, is quite rank at the minute, but I do...
with a C.
There are two things, with a C, that still works, but there are two things I think Britain lead the world in. Breakfasts, I think the filling is incredible, or the full Scottish. Full Welsh, I was in Swansea the other day. The full Welsh didn't have cockles in it though, so that one maybe doesn't quite get in. But the other thing that I think Britain rules the world in, and I think every other country should have to adopt, is our plugs. Britain has the greatest plugs, or the UK has the greatest plugs around, and they're. If you get American, you probably think that's not safe. It's doing this sort of thing. So, and I've done prep. I'm so proud of British plugs. I've got some facts for you about British plugs. I would like to tell you. So, the prong design, like standard US grounded plugs, the UK wall plug has 3 prongs. Design of these prongs makes it nearly impossible for you to shock yourself accidentally. Unlike in US plugs, half of each prong is coated in insulation. Because even if the plug is not fully inserted in the socket, touching the exposed part of the prongs can't give you a shock. 1-0 to our plugs. 2, socket design. Any kid with a fork or screwdriver can light his hair on fire in the United States by jamming it into a wall socket. Not so in England, where it would take 2 screwdrivers to manage the same trick. The UK plug is designed so the grounding prong is slightly longer than the prongs responsible for transferring current. Like a tumbler in a lock, the grounding prong is responsible for unlocking the socket, giving access to the more dangerous live and neutral terminals. Yeah? Built-in fuses, anyone? built-in fuses.
This is what people tuned into our podcast to hear.
Yeah. During World War II, a copper shortage resulted in the British government putting fuses into every plug instead of wiring them directly. Although the built-in fuse adds bulk to the UK plug design, it's also safer. In the case of unexpected electrical surge, the fuse simply blows and the electricity shuts out, preventing fires, electrocutions, and other accidents. It also makes UK plugs easier to fix. And finally, as you'll be here to know, because I've talked a lot about plugs, circuit design. The wiring inside the plug itself that is extremely intuitive. It's been thoughtfully designed so that if the plug is tugged and the wiring frays, the live and neutral wires are the first to become disconnected, where the grounding wires, the ones responsible for preventing human electrocution, to come into contact with the circuit, are the last to fray. So they're not just more sturdy, they have loads of great qualities to them. Go on, try and come at me and get plugs here. Disagree with that one at your peril.
Do you know what, Robbie? I'm just, we've had a lot of guests come on with their mildly controversial opinions, but I'm yet to see one that has done as much research and planning and compelling a case for
Thank
any.
you.
So that's you should be very proud of yourself. He says in a very patronising way, but you should. I'm also very proud of you.
I think I'm a good podcast guest. I work hard. I think if you're going to do it, put the effort in. Do your research, get ready, go. And I think that is why I either become a presenter on a podcast or kill it. Let's find out how this goes.
I don't think there's any doubt at all there is the Baz. This is 100%.
I'm sticking with my the thing I've done all the way through. It's Robbie Knox, so yeah, it's passing.
Cheers, Baz.
100%. That is absolutely accepted that that UK plugs are better than all plugs. And do you know what? Even if I wasn't convinced originally, the amount of preparation and time and effort you've put in that, then that deserves it to be accepted. But your final one there is 100% endorsed by us both. And look. You said before that you either become a co-host of a podcast or you kill it. I'm pretty sure you've not killed this podcast. So, Baz,
see you Monday.
You're going back to work in a bit.
Yeah.
Yes. We said we had to record a bunch of podcasts to cover while you're at work. Might not need to, mate. We'll have a chat later. Anyway.
I'm just going to point this out now. There's nobody else would like on the drop of a hat and go, yeah, I'll be there at 8:30 because someone's dropped out. Just saying.
That's it. That's it. That's the thing. And then what's going to happen is now I'll then say I don't want to do this, and Baz is now going to get angry with you, and that's what's going to kill the podcast.
Either that, or Robbie's going to take over as co-host, and I'll still ring you when Robbie can't make it.
Yes.
Say, Baz, can you do it at the drop of a hat? And you go, yeah, I will. And on that bombshell, that is where we will leave it for this week. So before we go, we need to say thank you so much, Robbie, for being on. I've had a great time. Really appreciate you giving up your time to do this for us. But also, what I would like to offer you is the opportunity to plug and flog whatever you want. How can people find you? What do you want them to go and watch?
They can use the internet if they really can. I've got a YouTube channel. It's just Robbie Knox. You can put Robbie Knox into Instagram. I'm now verified in case there's any weirdo trying to impersonate it, which seems quite a stretch. I don't really use Twitter because it's rank. I wouldn't bother. Just every day.
Can I just say before you close, Mike? It's really obvious that you've been on television and that you've done podcasts, because this has been so much easier. I said when we announced that you were coming on that you were probably the first guest that people outside of TikTok and Instagram had heard of. To which, like, Mike had to defend all the other people that we've had on the podcast since or before you. So
it was very different to that, Baz. You said this is the first genuinely famous person we've had on there, and Robbie, do you know what Baz's basis for that was? His wife had heard of you.
There we go. That'll do. I will say Laurie's got about 500 times more followers than me. So
yeah,
most of my family.
But genuinely, my wife had heard of you, so yeah.
Yeah, irrelevant.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Baz's missus had never heard of Laurie. She's heard of you, so you
Yes.
are officially more famous.
Anyway,
that you know what? That Baz's missus knowing who you are trumps your little blue tick on Instagram, mate.
Yeah,
John.
I've changed my bio to that. Mrs. knows around.
So famous, Baz's missus has heard of me.
Yeah.
Look, Robbie, I've had such a good time. I really appreciate you spending time with us and giving us the benefit of your mildly controversial opinions. That's where we'll leave it for this week. Thanks again, Baz. Thanks, Robbie. And you know what to do, people. Don't forget to do all the subscribey shit. Like, subscribe, share, do all of that kind of stuff. That'll do.
Brilliant. That was fun, guys. Thanks for that. I really enjoyed that.
I appreciate you coming on to me on our little podcast. It's just so exciting.
It's not going to be little for long. I mean, it's little compared to the one he's normally on.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, trust me, when it's not little anymore, I'm getting replaced. It's
by Robbie.
That's showbiz. That's showbiz, Baz.
This has been Robbie's audition from when this podcast gets too big for you, Baz.
that happened about 2 years ago, to be fair.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.